Call to order the February 14th, 2022 meeting of Plymouth Township Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everybody. At this time, is there any public comment on the agenda? Seeing none, I will move to Mr. Whitney to start with the recognition for Caspar Prestia's 100th birthday.
Whereas longevity of life is a blessing for an individual and for a community which benefits from the knowledge, creativity, and experiences it brings to all. And whereas Plymouth Township Council wishes to acknowledge Caspar Prestia in honor of his 100th birthday on February 5th, 2022. And whereas Plymouth Township Council recognizes with respect and admiration the contributions Caspar Prestia has given to our community and country. And whereas Caspar Prestia in 1943, at the age of 21, was drafted into the U.S. Army during World War II and was trained as a military police officer. He was a prisoner of war guard in Colorado, was transferred into the U.S. Army Corps, trained as a drill instructor in Michigan, then spent the rest of the war stationed in Bermuda as the first sergeant of the military police unit with 135 officers under his command. He was married for almost 60 years to Pauline, the love of his life, enjoying family time with their 3 children, 5 grandchildren, and 8 great-grandchildren. He worked at La Grippo Rug Company for over 30 years and, after its closing, worked security for Montgomery Hospital. And whereas Caspar Prestia has been a resident of Plymouth Township all of his life, taking 2 years to single-handedly build the house he currently resides in. He was well known by many Plymouth Township employees and residents working as a school crossing guard, then until close to the age of 90 at the Greater Plymouth Community Center. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council, along with the citizens of the township, honors Caspar Prestia for his long life and prosperity and wishes him many more and happy years. Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve this recognition?
So moved.
I saw a motion from Mr. Whitney by hand and a second from Ms. Bandish verbally. Comments or additional questions from council?
I still don't believe it. You look way too young. Can we see your birth certificate?
My legs haven't given out.
Oh,
I just thought for a minute while we were standing up and saying Pledge Allegiance to the flag that was standing here saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag in front of somebody who defended our nation in World War II, and we don't get a lot of opportunities to do that. That is special. And while the 100th birthday is a milestone, I think everybody in this room, while we celebrate your 100th birthday, we do it even more so because of our grateful feelings that we have for your service and defending our nation in probably one of the most trying times in the history of this world. And it's just amazing that we have this opportunity to recognize you tonight. So, Mr. Prestia, thank you, and to your family and everybody who's here to see you. I just can't imagine how they feel and how special you are to all them, as you are to us as a township. So, happy birthday, and thank you. Anything additional?
roll call.
Yep. Seeing no other, any comments? I'm sorry, any comments from the audience? Seeing none, we will do a roll call vote. Ms. Vicia?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor.
Thank you for your service.
Can we bring him over by the flag?
Flag over.
He's done enough.
Careful.
Where you want me to go?
Looking good, everybody?
One more.
Smile, Dad.
And I hope you get your favorite
One more. You know, he has fake ID and makes him 79 again.
You're not gonna start again.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. I need you. Yeah.
It's the chief one.
Okay, our
I
next,
think the chief is presenting something.
yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Just on behalf of the police department, I've known Mr. Prestia now for over 30 years, since he was a young man of 70. Spent many times in his workshop downstairs. He taught my two young boys, along with his two grandsons, how to build cars for the Cub Scout Derby. So I thank him for that. And I do know that our police association would like to present Mr. Prestia with an award.
Thank you. On behalf of the men and women of the Police Association, thank you for the service to our community and our country. Wish you many more years of happiness.
Thank you, thank you. It was a pleasure serving you.
Thank you very much.
We have a bag of goodies for you too, sir. You deserve an extra ice in here.
It was a pleasure serving our country. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Thank you. It's beautiful.
Yeah, great.
Birthday presents.
Thank you now. You remember back in the summer, huh?
All right, our next recognition or resolution is for Barbara Thompson, and I will read that for us. This is a resolution awarded to Barbara Thompson by Plymouth Township Council in grateful recognition of her generous and outstanding service and contributions rendered as a member of the Parks, Recreation, and Shade Tree Advisory Board. Barbara Thompson served Plymouth Township with commitment and dedication by volunteering her time to the Parks, Recreation, and Shade Tree Advisory Board during the period extended from January 2013 through December 2021. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council hereby expresses its appreciation to Barbara Thompson. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered in the official minutes of Plymouth Township and that a copy of this resolution be publicly tendered to Barbara Thompson, presented this 14th day of February 2022. I make a motion that we approve this resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bramblett. Any comments or questions from council? I will say personally it was my pleasure. I was looking for Barbara. She's wearing the yellow. I can't.
Did you miss her?
Barbara, it was my pleasure being the liaison on the Parks and Rec Board for the last 6 years to work with you. I have a mutual admiration for you because you're a former teacher, and I think we're in a special club there. But your dedication to the Parks Board and everything that you put into it and all the time and effort you put is greatly appreciated. And as we'll see with our other citizen board appointments, these are positions that sometimes are hard to fill, and it's with residents like you that we're able to do the great things we do here in Plymouth. And I still owe you one thing that we have to get done and accomplish, and I haven't forgotten it, and I promise that we will continue to do that. So thank you, Barb. Additional comments or questions from council? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, we will do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Thank you, Barb. I know.
All right, 3, 2, 7. Good crowd.
All right. And our next resolution is for Jim Staples, and I will turn that one over to Ms. Bandish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is awarded to Jim Staples by Plymouth Township Council in grateful recognition of his generous and outstanding service and contributions rendered as a member of the East Norriton Plymouth Whitpain Joint Sewer Authority. Jim Staples served Plymouth Township with commitment and dedication by volunteering his time to the East Norriton Plymouth Whitpain Joint Sewer Authority during the period extending from May 2017 through December 2021. Now therefore be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council hereby expresses its appreciation to Jim Staples. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered in the official minutes of Plymouth Township and that a copy of this resolution be publicly tendered to Jim Staples. Presented this 14th day of February 2022. I make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
Okay, there's a motion from Ms. Bandish. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Vicio. Comments and questions from council? And again, where's Mr. Staples? He's not here?
It was here, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll just, on behalf of all of us, again, thank you for stepping up and volunteering for our sewer authority. And again, one of those operations that I think a lot of people don't always get to see what goes on behind the scenes. Probably don't want to know what goes on behind the scenes, but we
It's actually
appreciate
fascinating.
we appreciate Mr. Staples. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. We will do we'll any additional comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Vicio.
In favor.
Mr. Whitney.
In favor.
Ms. Bandish.
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett.
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Next resolution is for Mr. Sheldon Simpson, and that one will go to Mr. Whitney.
All right. The township would like to award in grateful recognition of his generous and outstanding service and contributions rendered as a member of the Civil Service Commission. Sheldon Simpson served Plymouth Township with commitment and dedication by volunteering his time to the Civil Service Commission during the period extending from January 2016 through December 2021. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council hereby expresses its appreciation to Sheldon Simpson. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the official minutes of the Plymouth Township and that a copy of this resolution be publicly tendered to Sheldon Simpson. I make a motion to adopt this resolution.
Okay, there's a motion from Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bramblett. Comments or questions from council?
I do personally want to extend my comments to Mr. Simpson. I've known you and your family quite a long time. Nice to see you all. Growing up, I've known the service not just you've done on the Civil Service Commission, but for Plymouth Township at large, and it's been a great example to me of how to serve the community, and it's one that I hope to continue and show in my time on council, and I do take it a great honor to be up here. You once served up here as well. So I thank you for all your service that you've done over the many years, both on council and just in the community in general.
Additional comments, questions? And I'll add that I know I hold the seat that Mr. Simpson held before me, both in terms of representing the Second Ward of Plymouth and the seat of the chair. And, we all know what goes into it and the willingness and the time and serving the community both in the Little League and our citizen board and on council. You've stepped up every time you've been asked, and I know that we all appreciate that. And again, I think all of our residents of our township don't always get to see some of these behind-the-scenes things, but to know that you've contributed and what you've done for the township, both on council, before council, and after council, is very much appreciated. Thank you. Additional comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we will do a roll call vote. Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Take one side of the table, I'll take the other. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody?
First off, Karen, council, thank you very much. I appreciate this. Very nice words from Nick. It's kind of sweet, a sweet bitter end. I've been serving the township boards for Karen over 30 years, and this will be the first time in 30 years or more that I haven't served on a board. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. I enjoyed serving the township. I'm glad I'm inspiration to some people anyhow, nobody else. But keep up the good work, and hope more people get involved and will serve the township. It's really an honor to do so. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our final recognition tonight is a recognition of service for K-9 Major, and I'll hand that over to our chief.
I would like to thank council for the opportunity to express my profound gratitude for a K-9 officer who served the residents of Plymouth Township for 11 years. K-9 Major came to us as a 1-year-old German Shepherd Belgian Malinois mix in 2010. Although he began his career partnered with Detective Eric Ponzak, he spent the bulk of his tenure teamed with partner and friend, Officer Mike Watts. Together, the long-standing team entertained our residents countless times at Plymouth Township Day and Cop Camp, as well as at our township schools and daycares. They conducted sweeps for explosives at both the 2016 Democratic National Convention and the 2017 Papal Visit in Philadelphia, as well as managing security inspections at our many hotels, businesses, and schools. As an 11-year veteran with only 2 weeks before he was set to retire, Major and Officer Watts were conducting a surveillance along a stretch of Conshohocken Road, which had recently been plagued by a series of burglaries. The team spotted a pair of suspicious males in the area and tracked their movements, interrupting a burglary they were planning. As the males fled on foot, Major pursued and ultimately apprehended one of the felons. Major retired on January 1st, 2021, after a long and productive career safeguarding the residents of Plymouth Township. Sadly, 1 year later, on Sunday, January 30th, 2022, we said goodbye to Major one final time. To the Watts family, we share in your grief for the loss of a loved one. To our residents, we join you in mourning the passing of a dedicated guardian. And to Major, the ultimate tribute. Good boy. Thank you. I don't know if you would like to, but I would ask, at least give the opportunity to Officer Watts. He might want to say a few words on behalf of his partner.
To the Chief, thank you for this opportunity to come up here and speak, and also to honor my partner. It's been about 3 weeks since he passed, and I still haven't come up with the words to honor him the way I did, and just to show everyone the bond that we had. But I wrote up a little Facebook post the other day, and I mean, it's not much, but I'll read it, and it kind of gives everyone an idea who didn't know Major or myself, a little bit about, our bond together. It's been over a week since we had to let you go. I still can't believe you were gone and feel like I can't come up with the proper words to honor you. In 2014, you made my dream of being a handler come true. We put in countless hours of training and building that canine bond like no other. We shared meals and snacks, and you listened to me as we drove around on a night shift. At least I like to think you were listening to me as you chewed on your Kong. Numerous times you led me around while I held the dumb end of the leash. Without hesitation, you were the first one in and ensured that we were safe. Fast forward to your retirement, neither of us were ready. However, that was out of our control. For the next few months, I caught myself trying to talk to you in the back as I rode around in our car, only to find you were not there. You taught me so much about life, including if you have gas in the tank, keep riding till the wheels fall off. Which ultimately, that's what he did. The day he passed, he was still, full of energy, playing with his toy. I love you, partner. Thank you for always having my back. Rest easy, 44-916. Council, again, thank you for allowing me to do this. I appreciate it.
We have a lot of really exciting items on the agenda for anybody who would like to stay, but I know a lot of you were here for our recognitions on our resolution, so at this time, if anybody would like to get an early start on bedtime, you're more than welcome. That doesn't go for any of you.
It's only been 3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, mishap into his home. And he's been out of the house for like over a year. Chuck Simpson. We had Hillcrest Glen. Yeah, they were in Hillcrest Glen while they were in Alpha. They were split up. They were in another. They were over here in the corner from the Ave and Louisville. It's like tiny apartments. Because they were settled.
How about I grab that
insurance
for
and
you? I'll walk you
everything.
guys
After 5
out.
months of construction, they put it back together. And the kitchen got real close. Heat doesn't. He's leaving the wood downstairs.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, or a leak in the tank or a fucking tank or something. Bye, Casper. Well, okay. Thank you. Bye.
You guys might all be getting off easy tonight.
We're just saying, how do you follow that up?
100-year-old birthday and dogs, you better leave now.
An announcement that an executive session was held on February 7th, 2022. And at this time, I'll ask for approval of our minutes from the reorganization meeting on January 3rd, workshop meeting on January 4th, and regular meeting on January 10th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Whitney, second from Ms. Bramblett. Comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Vicio? Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Approval of departmental reports and bills. I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bandish. Comments or questions from council? From the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Moving down to administration, we have the Lucetta Street dedication ordinance, first and final consideration, and that will go to Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Monero. This is an ordinance vacating a portion of Fairfield Road and Diamond Avenue as public streets and ordaining Lucetta Street as a public street in Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Whereas Plymouth Township is a home rule community created by charter in accordance with the Pennsylvania Home Rule and Optional Plan Law. Whereas pursuant to Section 501 of the Township Home Rule Charter, Township Council is empowered to create and to adopt ordinances. And whereas pursuant to a plan dated February 12, 2014, titled SR 2013, Vacation, Abandonment, and Adoption Plan, and recorded on September 19, 2014, in the Office of the Recorder of Deeds in and for Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, at Plan Book 0041, page 00058. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Transportation abandoned Lucetta Street and adopted a portion of Fairfield Road and adopted Diamond Avenue as state rights-of-way, as more particularly described in the plan prepared by McCormick Taylor, Inc. of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, attached hereto as Exhibit A. Whereas PennDOT's actions aforesaid were undertaken in accordance with Plymouth Township Resolution 202-35, dated July 9, 2012. Now, therefore, it is the intention of Township Council, and Council does hereby enact and ordain as follows. Section 1, Lucetta Street, as described in the plan, shall be and is hereby ordained as a township street, and the same is hereby included in the general system of highways of Plymouth Township and the general plan of the streets of the township. Section 2, a portion of Fairfield Road and the entirety of Diamond Avenue, as described in the plan, shall be and are hereby vacated as public streets of the township, and the same are hereby removed from the general systems of highways of Plymouth Township and the general plan of streets of the township. Section 3, the township solicitor and the township engineer are hereby empowered and directed to take all necessary actions to effectuate the abandonment of a portion of Fairfield Road and Diamond Avenue as shown in the plan, and their removal from the general system of highways of the township and the general plan of the streets of the township, and to effectuate the acceptance of Lucetta Street as shown in the plan and its inclusion in the general system of highways of the township and the general plan of the streets of the township. Section 4, all other ordinances, portions of ordinances inconsistent with this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 5, the terms, conditions, and provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable, and should any portion, part, or provision of this ordinance be found by a court of competent jurisdiction to be invalid, unenforceable, or unconstitutional, the Township Council hereby declares its intent that the ordinance shall have been enacted without regard to the invalid, unenforceable, or unconstitutional portion, part, or provision of this ordinance. Section 6, this ordinance shall become effective in accordance with the provisions of the Plymouth Township Charter, ordained and enacted by the Council of Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, this 14th day of February, 2022. Council of Plymouth Township by Christopher G. Monero, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clark. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Motion from Ms. Bramlett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Any comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we will do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor?
Ms. Vizio?
In favor?
Ms. Bramlett?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Okay, next we have Berkheimer resolution to appoint the finance director as liaison. Ms. Bandish.
Thank you, Mr. Monero. A resolution of the Governing Board of Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, authorizing, empowering, and directing the proper officers of the Governing Board to appoint a liaison between it and the Berkheimer, the duly appointed collector of local taxes for the district, for the express purpose of sharing confidential tax information with the district for official purposes. Whereas Act Number 511 of the 1965 General Assembly of the Commonwealth, enacted December 31st, 1965, and effective January 1st, 1966, authorizes certain political subdivisions, including Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, to provide for the creation of such bureaus or the appointment and compensation of such officers, clerks, collectors, and other assistants and employees as may be deemed necessary for the assessment and collection of taxes imposed under the authority of that act. And whereas Plymouth Township, Montgomery County has entered into contractual agreement with Berkheimer of Bangor, Pennsylvania, whereby and whereunder Plymouth Township appointed Berkheimer to collect certain local taxes, and whereas said Act 511 specifically mandates that any information gained by the appointed tax officer, his agents, or by any other official or agent of the taxing district as a result of any declarations, returns, investigations, hearings, or verifications required or authorized by the taxing municipality's ordinance or resolution be kept confidential except for official purposes. And whereas any person who divulges any information which is confidential under the provisions of any ordinance or resolution upon conviction may be subject to fines and or imprisonment upon conviction and dismissal from office or discharge from employment. And whereas Berkheimer requires passage of a resolution by the governing body of Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, specifying that said confidential information is needed for official purposes, and absolving Berkheimer from any liability in connection with the release of said confidential information. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Plymouth Township, Montgomery County hereby appoints the finance director as its authorized representative to make request upon and receive any and all tax information and records from Berkheimer relative to the collection of taxes for Plymouth Township, as desired and deemed necessary by Plymouth Township, to be used for official purposes only. And 2, Berkheimer is hereby directed to provide and or transmit any and all tax information and records or any portion thereof relating to the collection of taxes for Plymouth Township upon request to the finance director as the authorized contact representative for it. 3, Plymouth Township, Montgomery County hereby saves, harmless, indemnifies, and or absolves Berkheimer from any and against any and all liability in connection with the release of said confidential information. Resolved, enacted, and adopted at a meeting held on the 14th day of February 2022. I make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
There is a motion from Ms. Bandish. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Vissio. Comments or questions from council? From the audience? Seeing none, we will do a roll call vote. Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Vissio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Next is for testing services, David Blackmore and Associates. Ms. Bramblett?
Thank you. We have before us a contract from David Blackmore and Associates, Inc., to perform geotechnical and construction quality control services on the renovations of the Plymouth Township Municipal Campus project. The scope of work is defined in the contract, as are the amounts to be provided for hourly work by the individuals described. The individuals are described as geotechnical technicians, geotechnical engineers, and steel inspectors. The services to be provided will include earthwork, subgrade preparation, foundation evaluation, reinforcing steel, cast-in-place concrete, structural steel, roofing, fireproofing, asphalt inspection, masonry, and the making of reports. As I said, all of the qualifications and descriptions of the technicians, engineers, and inspectors are described, and the duties they have to perform with the general contractor, KCBA Architects. I make a motion that we approve and adopt this contract with David Blackmore and Associates, Inc.
There's a motion from Ms. Bramblett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions from council? From the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vissio?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Down to police and public safety. Chief, anything additional?
Yes, briefly. I'd just like to advise council that we've released our 2021 annual report, and it can be found on our Facebook page and the township website. Thank you.
Moving down to Public Works and Sewer, we have our snow announcement. Ms. Visio.
Well, it's only February and we need to keep thinking about snow. Residents are reminded that it is unlawful to park or abandon any motor vehicle on any public street or highway in Plymouth Township at any time within 12 hours after a snowfall of 3 inches or more has occurred where off-street parking exists. On-street parking, where necessary, will be permitted only on one side of the street. In even-numbered years, parking will be permitted only on the even-numbered side of the street. And in odd years, parking will be permitted only on the odd-numbered side of the street. This will allow streets to be cleared properly. Vehicles parked otherwise will be subject to removal at the expense of the owner. Any motor vehicles parked, stalled, incapable of moving under its own power, or left unattended upon any public street or highway in the township at any time within 12 hours after a snowfall of 3 inches or more has occurred may be removed or towed to another location by the police department. Property owners are required to clear a path on sidewalks of not less than 30 inches within 36 hours after the snow has ceased falling. In addition, residents are asked to adopt a hydrant. If there's a fire hydrant by your home, you know where it is. If it's obscured by snow, fire companies responding to emergencies may not. Clearing the snow will help protect you and your neighbors.
Thank you, Ms. Visio. I like the last snow we had. It didn't stick on the streets or the sidewalks.
Perfect. Let's hope it's the last.
Next, we have a recycling consortium motion for a 7-year processing with Republic, and that will also go over to Ms. Visio.
Thank you. Regarding the Montgomery County Recycling Consortium and the go-forward plan for Plymouth Township, I make a motion to accept the following 3 recommendations from MSW Consultants. Number 1, we execute a contract with Republic Services for recyclable processing and marketing services for a 7-year term with 3 one-year optional renewal periods. In this, we will retain 100% of the commodity revenue, which is consistent with the current practice, and the cost is $105 per ton. Number 2, we reject the proposals for transfer station operations and transportation services proposed by J.P. Mascaro and Sons, and we issue written notice following this decision, informing them of the decision to terminate services at the end of the current contract term. And 3, at least temporarily, we self-haul recyclables directly to Republic Services processing facility in Plymouth, Russia. And I make a motion that we accept all 3 of those recommendations.
There's a motion from Ms. Visio. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Oh, man, that was a tough one. Second from
Karen.
Ms. Bramblett. Any comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we will do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor?
Ms. Visio?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Nothing for engineering. Moving down to subdivision and land development. First plan's under review. First one is for 906 Ridge Pike. Mr. Whitney.
All right, so the property at 906 Ridge Pike, my Continental Auto Group, they are requesting a 6-month extension of time for the review of the reference land development plan, and I move to grant that extension, the extension to August 20th, 2022.
There's a motion from Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Visio. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we will do a roll call vote. Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Visio?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Next is Plymouth Town 2, Fairfield and Sandy Hill Road. That one goes to Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Monero. Be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council does hereby approve the preliminary final land development plan prepared for Plymouth Town Apartments, prepared by Robert E. Blue Engineers of Bluebell, Pennsylvania, dated May 14th, 2021, last revised November 19, 2021, consisting of sheets numbers 1 through 33, proposing to develop a 2.80-acre lot within the township's residential D zoning district located along Fairfield Road across from the Volpe property, seeking to develop a 32-unit apartment complex comprised of 2-unit townhouse structures utilizing the same ingress and egress as the current Plymouth Town apartment complex and including parking, landscaping, and sidewalk improvements under and subject to the following conditions. 1, that the owner-developer shall execute a public improvement agreement and memorandum of public improvement agreement as required by the subdivision and land development ordinance and pay all applicable fees and assessments, including but not limited to the following. A, an impact fee for transportation capital improvements under ordinance number 1426 of 2004, as amended, said impact fee in an amount to be determined at a future date by Carroll Engineering Corporation. B, a recreation fee of $32,000 based on 32 new proposed dwelling units. C, sanitary and storm sewer outfalls in the amount of $7,700 based on 77 new parking spaces. D, sewer connection fee to be paid in accordance with the fees and schedule in effect at the time of payment. 2, that the owner-developer shall prepare revised plans as set forth in the December 21st, 2021 review letter of McCloskey and Faber, the Township Landscape Architect, except to the extent that the waivers are granted herein, to the satisfaction and approval of the Township Landscape Architect. 3, that the owner-developer shall prepare revised plans to comply with the requirements, comments as set forth in the January 13, 2022 report of Carroll Engineering Corporation, the Township Traffic Engineer, to the satisfaction and approval of said traffic engineer. 4, that the owner-developer shall prepare revised plans to comply with the requirements, comments as set forth in the January 13, 2022 report of Carroll Engineering Corporation, the Township Sanitary Sewer Engineer, to the satisfaction and approval of said sanitary sewer engineer. 5, that the owner-developer shall prepare revisions to the plans to comply with the requirements, comments set forth in the November 30th, 2021 report of Woodrow and Associates, the Township Engineer, except to the extent that waivers are granted herein to the satisfaction and approval of the Township Engineer. 6, that the owner-developer shall prepare revisions to the plans to comply with the requirements, comments set forth in the December 14, 2021 report of David P. Conroy, zoning officer, to the satisfaction and approval of the said zoning officer. 7, that the owner-developer shall prepare revisions to the plans to comply with the requirements, comments set forth in the September 18, 2021 report of Suburban Lighting Consultants, the Township Lighting Consultant, to the satisfaction and approval of said consultant. 8, that the owner-developer shall obtain all required permits and approvals from the Sewer Authority, a DEP sewage facility planning module waiver, the water company with jurisdiction over the property, and a highway occupancy permit from Plymouth Township and a highway occupancy permit from Montgomery County, if any is needed. 9, that the owner-developer shall prepare revisions to the plans to comply with the requirements, comments set forth in the February 2nd, 2022 report of the Planning Agency and the September 22nd, 2021 report of the Montgomery County Planning Commission, to the satisfaction and approval of the aforesaid Township Zoning Officer. 10, that the owner-developer shall prepare revisions to the plans to list all waivers granted and notes required by this resolution. 11, prior to the issuance of any permits, all outstanding legal, engineering, and administrative fees applicable to this land development must be paid by the owner-developer. 12, this approval is subject to the fulfillment of all of the foregoing conditions in their entirety, and no permit shall be issued, nor shall any development take place on the property unless and until all such conditions are fulfilled. Further resolved that the owner-developer shall be granted the following waivers from the terms of the Plymouth Township Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance of 1980 as amended, and from the Plymouth Township Zoning Ordinance of March 16, 1960, Ordinance number 342 as amended. A, Article 5, Section 501.2.A, to allow all storm sewers within 200 feet of the site to not be shown on the plan. B, Article 5, Section 502.3.d, to allow 10 feet between the parking area and the outside wall of the dwelling units. C, Article 5, Section 502.3.p, to allow a parking area paving specification 6 feet of compacted 2A modified stone, I think that might be 6 inches. 6 feet would be pretty expensive. 2 inches of super paved 25.00 millimeter binder course and 1.5 inches of 9.5 millimeter of wearing course. D, Article 5, Section 503.1C, to allow the proposed sidewalk to be adjacent to the curb. E, Article 5, Section 518.2C, to allow the landscape plans not to be prepared by a registered architect. F, Article 5, Section 518.5.f, to not provide for ground cover plantings on steep slopes. G, Article 5, Section 518.5.1.c, to allow parking spaces in a row without a landscape island. Duly presented and adopted by Plymouth Township Council at a public meeting held on the 14th day of February 2022, Plymouth Township, by Christopher G. Monero, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clark. Is there a motion to approve this resolution? I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second from,
Is there a question?
So, yeah, just Keith Tornetta from Plymouth Town. Just a couple of clarifications that I caught. They're not townhouses, they're apartments, rental apartment units.
Yeah, so I think you read yours, but that's been corrected.
Okay.
And it's in a residential, special
Special
zoning
district.
district, yeah.
And it's a total of 3.87 acres. It's 2 parcels that we're merging the 2 parcels into existing Plymouth Town. I think the 2.08 was just the tragic
2.80.
property.
Okay.
Or, I'm sorry, the Miss D'Angelo's property. Both of them together are 3.87.
And it's also paid PennDOT, not Monaco, on Fairfield River. Yes.
Mr. Clark, there was one other, I may have misheard you. I think it was a section for the first waiver was 401.2.A.4, not 501.
says
John
501.
401.
Thank you.
I'll make these changes before we send it to you.
Thank you.
so should that motion be to adopt the resolution with
With the changes.
the changes?
Yeah.
Okay, let me redo that. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution with the changes? I'll make the motion again. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bandish. Any additional comments or questions from council? Anything else from you guys? Okay. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, I didn't, I have read.
Karen, you take it from me.
But read the ones from your mail, with your agenda for tonight. Because same for flat, same for monthly change or two, like there is.
It's in this packet.
No, attached to your agenda, there should be the flat resolution since it's in there. And the one. She came back to you. You can read mine.
She did.
Good.
This is good, because if Mr. Hughes started correcting me, it would be... Oh, no, you're not here on this, that's my apologies.
All right, our next item is land development for Ridge Pike. Craig Flaxman and Mr. Clark, back to you.
Thank you. Be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council does hereby approve the preliminary final land development plans prepared by Eric G. Flaxman and Craig Flaxman, hereinafter collectively called owner-developer, prepared by Apex Design Plus Engineering Group dated October 20th, 2021, consisting of sheets numbered 1 through 8, and proposing to develop a lot located at 107 Ridge Pike between Chemical Road and Butler Pike, zoned as residential and being used as a restaurant called Fingers, Wings, and Other Things, seeking to construct an expansion of an outdoor deck space consisting of approximately 386 square feet and a parking lot expansion of 16 spaces with improved stormwater and drainage management and landscaping under and subject to the following conditions. 1, that the owner-developer shall execute a public improvement agreement and memorandum of public improvement agreement as required by the subdivision and land development ordinance and pay all applicable fees and assessments, including but not limited to the following. Excuse me. A, an impact fee for transportation capital improvements under ordinance number 1426 of 2004 as amended, said impact fee in the amount of $8,340.75 as determined by Carroll Engineering Corporation. B, a recreation fee of $435.13 based on the proposed deck area. C, sanitary and storm sewer outfalls in the amount of $1,900 based on the 19 new parking spaces. D, a sewer connection fee to be paid in accordance with the fee and schedule in effect at the time of payment. 2, that the owner-developer shall prepare revised plans as set forth in the January 25th, 2022 review letter of McCloskey and Faber PC, the township landscape architect, attached to this resolution, except to the extent that waivers are granted herein to the satisfaction and approval of the township landscape architect. 3, that the owner-developer shall prepare revised plans to comply with the requirements, comments as set forth in the December 17, 2021 report of Carroll Engineering Corporation, the township traffic engineer, attached to this resolution to the satisfaction and approval of the said traffic engineer. 4, that the owner-developer shall prepare revised plans to comply with the requirements, comments as set forth in the November 19, 2021 report of Carroll Engineering Corporation, the township sanitary sewer engineer, attached to this resolution to the satisfaction and approval of the said sanitary sewer engineer. 5, that the owner-developer shall prepare revisions to the plans to comply with the requirements, comments set forth in the November 3rd, 2021 report of Woodrow and Associates, the township engineer, attached to this resolution to the satisfaction and approval of the said township engineer. 6, that the owner-developer shall prepare revisions to the plans to comply with the requirements set forth in the January 17, 2022 report of David P. Conroy, zoning officer, attached to this resolution to the satisfaction and approval of said zoning officer. 7, that the owner-developer shall prepare revisions to the plans to comply with the requirements, comments set forth in the November 26, 2021 report of Suburban Lighting Consultants, the township lighting consultant, to the satisfaction and approval of the said consultant. 8, that the owner-developer shall obtain all required permits and approvals from the Sewer Authority, a DEP sewage facility planning module waiver, the water company with jurisdiction over the property, and a highway occupancy permit from Plymouth Township, and a highway occupancy permit from Montgomery County, if any is needed. 9, that the owner-developer shall prepare revisions to the plans to comply with the requirements, comments set forth in the February 2nd, 2022 report of the Planning Agency and the December 1st, 2021 report of the Montgomery County Planning Commission, each attached to this resolution to the satisfaction and approval of the aforesaid township zoning officer. 10, that the owner-developer shall prepare revisions to the plans to list all waivers granted and notes required by this resolution. 11, prior to the issuance of any permits, all outstanding legal, engineering, and administrative fees applicable to this land development must be paid by the owner-developer. 12, this approval is subject to the fulfillment of all the foregoing conditions in their entirety, and no permit shall be issued, nor shall any development take place on the property unless and until all such conditions are fulfilled. Further resolved that the owner developer shall be granted the following waivers from the terms of the Plymouth Township subdivision and land development ordinance of 1980 as amended. A, Article 5, Section 518.5.8.1.c, to allow more than 15 parking spaces in a row without a landscaped island. B, Article 5, Section 518.5.h.1.d, a partial waiver to not provide raised, continuous concrete curbing around plastic islands, and at the end of each row of parking spaces, gaps in the curb will be designed to allow runoff into the rain garden. Duly presented and adopted by Plymouth Township Council at a public meeting held on the 14th day of February 2022, Plymouth Township, by Christopher G. Monero, Chair.
Everything in there sounds okay?
Yeah, I hadn't seen that before. How'd you get that $8,000 fee for? We're only doing 386 square feet of outdoor seating. Seems pretty high.
This is the traffic impact fee as determined by the township's traffic engineer, Carroll Engineering.
16, well, I guess the additional traffic that would come in the PM peak, but with the 16 more parking spaces.
Well, I shouldn't say this, but it's actually 19 extra spaces. We're going from 92 spaces to 111.
Let me see how much it tells how many trips here.
There's only about 8 seats out there. How many seats in the outdoor?
It's 5 new trips during the weekday, PM peak.
Based on the square footage of the expanded outdoor seating? Okay. That was all, just the clarification of 19 spaces, so maybe it's...
Yeah, the 19 is only, I see it in C, you see the 19 spaces in C, because that's based on, that's the fee that's based on spaces, so we had that part right.
Yeah, I mean, we have the letter from Carroll Engineering here.
Yeah, Carol has it wrong, but,
So it's actually 19 additional spaces?
Yes.
So the ordinance, the resolution should be amended, say 19 spaces.
I'm not 100% sure, but if the planning module, can that be if required? I don't know if we need a planning module for outdoor seating for next couple of
planning
seats?
module, like a sewage planning module?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Well, I think that all
It
those.
says if needed.
If needed, okay, that applied to
That's like
everything.
the general list of
All of those,
land developments.
If needed.
if needed.
Thank you.
And you're right, I don't believe a planning module will be needed for this.
You're not having any new connection to the sewer, no.
And I'm not sure where Chemical Road fits in there, but
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering the same thing.
Chemical and Butler, well, I can double take
That's
it.
a long
It's correct.
stretch.
It's a long
It is
stretch,
between
but-
Chemical and Butler, I don't know.
There's two
How it
big
made its way in.
roads.
But it's a lot closer to say like a Little Avenue or,
Yeah, could have narrowed that down.
a little bit.
Key Street's the next one.
Keys would be the next, you're
Yeah,
right.
because Little doesn't cross over to the other side.
True, it
It's not
stops it.
incorrect, it's
Yeah.
just a stretch in the river there.
It's between Ridge Pike and Washington DC.
Somewhere between the North Pole and the South.
And I've never heard your restaurant referred to anything other than as flat.
Well, I always call it fingers, wings, and other things.
Oh,
I gotta
no,
start calling it
In my
flat.
family, it's flat.
What?
Yes. And it's demanded for every Super Bowl.
Anybody up here have any additional questions? Anything else that you guys needed clarification on? And I'll just say, and you are
Ed Hughes.
behind you. I'm sorry,
Craig Claxton.
Craig. I just wanted to say I've been there twice in the last 2 weeks, and I know that everything pandemic-wise has been difficult in the service industry. And you probably would like to hear this, that the service has been both times outstanding, and would never know that there was anything weird going on in the world. So
Thank you very much.
pass that along if you like. Okay, seeing no other comments or questions, we will do is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Motion from Ms. Bramblett, second from, was that Ms. Bandish? Or Ms. Vicio? Ms. Vicio. Motion second. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor.
I'll make those corrections.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next one is mine. I just need to find it now. I guess here we go. This next item is for conditionally approved projects not yet recorded. We have 1813 Hallowell Road, and they were seeking an extension until September 13th, 2022. And I make a motion that we accept this extension. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bramblett. Comments or questions from council, from the audience? Seeing none, we will do a roll call vote. Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Projects currently under construction. Escrow releases the Wawa parking lot. Mr. Whitney?
And we will letter from Line and I with the Associates Incorporated. Based on their final field observation of work completed to date, they find that all the site improvements have been installed and done to satisfaction, and that all escrow monies in the amount of $223,511.24 can be released. And they also find that there are no public improvements, so there's no maintenance bond required for this site. I move to release the escrow in the amount of $223,511.24.
There's a motion from Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bandish. Comments or questions from council? From the audience? Seeing none, we will do a roll call vote. Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In
And
favor.
the chair votes in favor. Going down to zoning hearings, Ms. Bramblett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The following applications will be heard at a public meeting of the Zoning Hearing Board of Plymouth Township at 7 p.m. in this building, the Greater Plymouth Community Center, on Monday, February 21st, 2022, by Denise Anderson on an application for a variance from Plymouth Township Zoning Ordinance Number 342, Article 19, Section 1908.1. The variance requested is to allow a 24 by 14 foot shed where a maximum by 12 by 12 feet is allowed. This property is at 333 Oxford Road in a B residential zoning district. By Aristocare at Meadows Springs on an application for variances from Plymouth Township Zoning Ordinance Number 342, Article 5, Section 500, and Article 19, Section 1908.c. The variances requested are as follows: to install a parking lot that is closer than 4 feet from the property line. The properties are located at 845 Germantown Pike and 1939 Hallowell Road in an A residential zoning district. By Richard W. Laird and Kathleen Levens, an application for a variance from Plymouth Township Zoning Ordinance Number 342, Article 6, Section 602.c.1. The variance is to allow an aggregate side yard setback of 30 feet where a minimum of 35 feet is required. This property is located at 803 Erlin Road in a B residential zoning district. By Chipotle Mexican Grill, Inc., trading as WV Universal LLC, on an application for variances from Plymouth Township Zoning Ordinance Number 342, Article 11, Section 1101.j.4, and Article 17, Section 1700.d.5. The variances requested are as follows: to allow a 29.5 foot side yard setback where a minimum of 50 feet is required, and to allow 25 parking spaces where a minimum of 57 spaces is required. This property is located at 550 West Germantown Pike in a shopping center zoning district. Next application, 11C Acquisitions LLC, Recycle Metals Corp., on an application for a special exception from Plymouth Township Zoning Ordinance Number 342, Article 15, Section 1502.e. The special exception is as follows: to allow a truck terminal. The property is located at 407 Allenwood Road in a resource recovery zoning district. Is the Old Elm on? Okay. And finally, 641 Old Elm LLC, the Mansion House Hotel, Inc., an application for an appeal from the determination of the Plymouth Township zoning officer dated November 18, 2021, that additional off-street parking is required to account for a proposed deck, or in the alternative, variances from Plymouth Township zoning ordinance number 342, Article 17, Section 1700.d and Section 1700.d.5. The variances requested are to allow 36 parking spaces, 31 spaces on gravel, where a minimum of 66 all-weather paved parking spaces are required. This property is located at 641 Old Elm Street in a D residential zoning district. Any citizen of Plymouth Township or interested party may attend the public hearing and have an opportunity to be heard.
Thank you, Ms. Bramblett. Next, under Parks and Recreation, we have some upcoming events to announce. Ms. Bandish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Some fun things to discuss. The program spotlights at the Greater Plymouth Community Center for February 2022. Schools Out Activity Days, and that's for Friday, February 18th, and Monday, February 21st. The Inflatable Float Day is going to be held on Sunday, February 20th. The Resident Camp Registration is going to be held on Thursday, February 22nd. The Superhero Swim, Friday, March 18th. The Youth 4-on-4 Basketball Tournament will occur on Saturday, March 26th. Save the date, Plymouth Township Day, we are going to have on Saturday, June the 4th. And of course, this is all in 2022. If you would like details, they're available on our brochure, the website, and social media.
Thank you, Ms. Bandish. Moving down to miscellaneous and old business, we have some citizen board vacancies that are still available. All residents wishing to serve on these citizens boards are asked to submit their resume or a letter stating their interest to the township manager at 700 Belvoir Road, Plymouth Meeting, PA 19462, or via email kweiss@plymouthtownship.org. The following citizen board positions are currently open. There are 3 positions open on the Property Maintenance Code Appeals Board. There is a position open on the Historical Architectural Review Board, and there is a position open on the East Norton Plymouth Whitane Joint Sewer Authority. And we have 1 citizen board reappointment for tonight, Ms. Bandish.
Yes, I'd like to announce that Brittany Carasello is reappointed for her first full term to the planning agency. So we offer her congratulations on that.
Okay, we have to vote on that, right?
Do we
So,
need to vote?
is there-
Okay, I make a motion to make this appointment.
Okay, motion from Ms. Bandish. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions? Seeing no one, will do a roll call vote. Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Anything additional tonight? All right, seeing none, we will adjourn.